Even though you and me are not together, you know.
I'm walking in to the Forbidden Zone, where the entire Forbidden Zone people are.
Be careful that the guy don't get drunk and then try to
This is the Forbidden Zone.
In the green room. Go suck the shit on.
Alright, that's
the rainforest. Shit on TV.
Well, you know, I mean, even though you and me are not together,
Tucson
even though you and me are
Psychiatric
not together, you
Institute
know,
shirt.
I still love you.
Okay.
Sucking one of his.
Cool. Well, I thought you meant I'm mad I'm not mad at you. You know, you feel just like you feel to keep going with that.
I guess I wasn't.
Quit recording.
That's a shot of course. Thanks, yeah.
The director, folks.
Do that trick.
Oh my god.
It's my monocle.
No, he is the director. That's the frightening part.
And the frightening part is he's good.
The kid that can't reach the cupboard and direct our show.
Can't
Please.
spell on the
It's
CG.
controls. It's like
Can't spell on the CG.
standing on the chair.
I still can't spell. That spell out.
Prom night from hell.
Oh yeah. Prom night.
And it's Friday the 13th, and we're having prom on Friday the 13th.
Where am I? Where am I?
We just had
Where the hell am I? No, I'm not in your face. This thing isn't in focus.
You're in the forbidden. You're in the green.
The beady little eyes.
I wonder why they call it green.
That's what you are.
I guess the sign's green and the chair is green.
It's completely out of focus, don't
The
worry.
Green Room, starring Patrick Stewart.
That's
I'll tell you what, I mean, that's kind of bold.
How long you have been? I got.
The kind of thing you walk around and tell people.
Well, that's what happened in prison.
Well, yo, that's what happened in prison, man. I got nothing to hide.
What you do is get your shit.
Come on, Felix, man.
That's true. Charlie, what you do is get you down and you're gonna get.
Hello. Viva Mexico y Puerto Rico.
No, I know I can't make a phone party.
Cinco de Mayo.
Alright, I can't help myself. I've got to give you a tour. Okay? This is the control room. This is control room B. This is the smaller control room where most of the live television, live block, that's what they would call it, a block of programs. That would be like a group of programs. A block is a group, a grouping. And here, yeah, that's me. That's me. That's Dot. And yeah, I know what I'm doing. It's no big deal. It's like a big video game. All right, this right here, that's the character generator machine, the Quanta. It has a floppy disk port right about there, roughly where my hand would be. That black box is where you would insert a floppy disk and you could save your work and you could load your work. And I still have Quanta floppy disks, but nothing to load them. I don't even have a Quanta emulator. Did they make such a thing? I should have copied the ROM off of that thing, right? I got this thing that'll, like, it's like a little clip. You, like, squeeze it, like, this thing, it's like a clip like that, and it has, like, these leads, and I can totally copy a ROM if I want to. I do that to my video cards to back them up. And, like, should have done that, because I don't even have an emulator to load my floppies on it. Kind of sucks. Anyways, that right there. Here, let me do something. This isn't working for me. Bear with me. You know what? Fuck the chroma key for now. How does that look? Am I ghostly and ethereal enough? I think so. Okay. Here we go. This should work better. So as I was saying, that right there is the floppy port. That works. Okay. This right here is the Grass Valley switcher. If you ever watched Late Night with David Letterman, they had this opening that was a lot like Saturday Night Live. You know what I'm talking about? It's like you've got this sweeping camera. It's almost like a drone, except we didn't have drones back then. So it was either a really talented handheld camera guy, kind of like Mark Brady, my director. So it's either a really talented, or it's a camera that's on rails. But that's usually only done for major motion pictures. I almost said picture. What's that? Is that a porno? A picture? Bada-booms. Alright, so you got your Grass Valley. This right here is a lever that you can pull, and that's how you do your wipes and transitions. So if it's a wipe, that means it's like that square that comes out of the corner that we were seeing earlier on the Forbidden Zone. Or if you have a dissolve, that's just kind of like what we have now, this ghostly kind of like see-through blending, this overlay kind of thing. That's what it would occur if you had it in the dissolve mode. So you could go from camera to camera with the lever, or there was a button you could push. Okay? And that button, let me see if we can see it. Yeah, I think it's that one right there that's glowing. Okay, here, let's see. It's my mouse cursor. You can see that, right? Okay, good. So that one right there, that little glowing button, that's like to indicate which camera. You know, it's just like OBS. Basically, if you're in studio mode in OBS, you have your A and your B. You can queue up your A and your B, and that little switch, there's two of them, and the one that's lit up is the one that's hot. Or live, the one that's activated, and when you do your transition, you know, it goes from that one to the other one, and the light switches over. Really a great little piece of machinery. However they made that thing, they did a good job. The Grass Valley switcher was the industry standard at the time. That's why you saw it on David Letterman and Saturday Night Live when you got to see behind the scenes in their little opening. I believe that was Paul Schaefer and the CBS Orchestra. It used to be the NBC Orchestra or something like that. And then there was G.E. Smith and the Saturday Night Live band as well. They were jamming out over the intro of the program. Let me see if I can define these groupings, these quadrants of the switcher, because as you can see, this area, these buttons are white, and these buttons are yellow, and they are used for different things. The white buttons are for the character generator. There were various things you could dissolve them. You know, like we're right here, dissolved. I don't know. Is that a good hand motion for dissolve? Probably not. Alright, basically ghost mode. I should probably just demonstrate, you know, just to make sure we're all clear, alright, on dissolve. Okay? So yeah, you could dissolve. You like that? Yes, you could dissolve your characters up on the, you know, your letters, your chars. You could dissolve them up onto the screen, and it was all controlled and programmed by those little, scoot me a little closer, by these buttons right here. Okay, and the yellow buttons right here, those pertained more to the cameras and what mode you might be activating at the time, such as chroma key, luma key. Also, that's how you queued up. Let me think here. Yeah, I think that was where you queued up your transitions. For example, okay, you had like the wipe. If you were doing a wipe instead of a dissolve, you had square-shaped wipes. Square-shaped wipes. It's almost a square. You had diamond-shaped, square-shaped, circular-shaped, which you could make elliptical and turn into oval-shaped. How did you make an oval? Or a rectangle? You could do that too. How did you do that? Well, let me see if we can maybe get a better shot. Maybe. Let's see. Oh yeah, that dial that I was fucking with. Here, let's see if we can get a better look. Yeah, I still remember this shit.
How old are you, Evan?
I was a goddamn expert. Okay, and I still am. God's gift to video. Don't forget it. Those are 4 monitors right there for the cameras. Okay? Now, there were only 3 cameras in the studio. So this is camera 1, this is camera 2, this is camera 3, and this 4th one was usually used for your source footage. Like if you had a tape loaded in the tape deck. You know, you could cue it by looking at the 4th monitor. Because sometimes you gotta cue videotapes. Kind of like I'm doing with the slider. Like everything that you do with video now, we could do back then, except we had mechanical equivalents. Okay? Like, just saying. And that's why I respect you guys so much. Because I know what a pain in the ass it is. And how much shit there is to know. These monitors, by the way, they have a little power button. This is the power button. You can turn them off if you feel like being green. Or if you're a total careless asshole, you just leave them on. At the end of the night, if you don't turn them off, a facilitator's just going to do it anyways. So the polite thing to do is to turn off the display when the show is over. Just saying. Big boys put away their toys, and they try to be green when they can. They try. You know, that's what that song "Android Sex Slave" is really about. It's using sex and like robotics, androids, and all this stuff. That's merely a smokescreen. The most important things in Android Sex Slave is that the android is always trying. It's like our protagonist, the singer of the song, is talking about how his android sex slave, quote unquote, is always trying to get him to do things. Trying to get me all sweaty! Yeah. Trying to get me to drive all fast! And like, I guess that's the key to a successful relationship. Is if you try things. The day that you stop trying things is the beginning of the end. And that's when you grow more distant. But you've always got to be trying things. You got to push your limits. See what you can get away with. And if you slip up and go too far, well, the other party has to be lenient. Because everybody slips up and goes too far. You know? That's the nature of knowing your boundaries. That's the nature of progress. Always pushing the boundaries and trying new things. And if you try a little too hard and overstep the boundaries, well, here, let me backstep. And please don't put me in prison for the rest of my fucking life. Please don't fine me $1 million fucking dollars. I was merely trying to know my boundaries. And like I say, the day you stop trying and you say, fuck this. I've been in trouble 1 too many times, 3 strikes and you're out. You know, I'm never doing this ever again. The day you stop trying is the beginning of the end. So the key to a successful relationship, in my humble opinion, is when you at least have one of the two parties always trying new things. It's not necessary to have both parties. One can be the trier and the other can be the tried. But that has to exist or your relationship's going to grow stale. That's what that song's really about. I'm just saying because that last comment. Big boys put away their toys. They try to be green. They try. They try their fucking best. Man. And if it's not good enough for you, well, fuck you. I'm just trying, man. It's like that Grace Vanderwall song. I'm just trying. Okay, that's the audio board. As you can see, oops, I gotta freeze it right there to better explain it. This is fun. I like telling you about the control room because I know it so well, like in Professor JJ mode. Okay, right there, I'm adjusting the chroma. That smaller dial, that's the chroma. This bigger dial is the iris. Or no, excuse me, the pedestal. The smaller dial is called pedestal, but I thought of it as chroma, if you know what I mean. And the iris, it's basically synonymous with the brightness. Like in OBS, you have color correction, or maybe your camera has built-in adjustments that you can make with sliders and such. Yes, the iris would be akin, it would be synonymous to brightness, whereas pedestal, I consider it to be synonymous or akin to chroma. Not gamma, chroma. Okay? Capiche? Capiche. There was a button over here that was very important. This tiny little black button. I forget what it was called, and I forget what it did, but there was a little red LED in the middle of it. Okay? And basically, if that LED wasn't on, it was like as if the whole camera was deactivated. And essentially, your little array of monitors down there, those screens, yeah, what about it? It would be blank. It would be black, blank, whatever you want to call it. It would, if it was powered on, I consider that black. It would be blank if it was turned off. Okay, but if it was powered on and that little button wasn't glowing red, it was black, and that was enough to make a director lose their fucking mind. If you were directing a program, a live program, and all of a sudden your camera went to black, the first time that happened to me, I was about ready to just cry. Oh no, they're gonna think I'm foolish and a fuck up and don't know what I'm doing. And luckily a facilitator came in and showed me that button, and from that point forward, if that ever happened again, because sometimes it could get activated, like a ghost pressed it or something, man. I guess maybe there was like a contact that was like needed cleaning. I don't know. Sometimes that thing could just shut off. Like you basically always wanted it on, right? Like, what do you really need to deactivate the camera? I suppose if people are doing drugs and having orgies out on the set, you might want to deactivate the cameras so you don't get the authorities involved accidentally if you cut to that camera. As if, right? Like, there were very few situations where you would want that deactivated. At any rate. And those 3 glowing lights, yeah, I forget. You wanted those on too. But they pertain to things. We could probably find a Grass Valley manual on the Internet Archive and go over it. But it's okay. We're just having fun here. This right here is the SVHS deck. It was a Panasonic. Most of the equipment at the TV studio was Panasonic. I don't know if they had a sponsorship, or if there was just a industry preference towards Panasonic gear at the time. Maybe it was of a higher grade, more professional, you know. It's like there's a big difference between consumer grade and pro grade. Am I right? Hence why there's a MacBook and a MacBook Pro, an iMac and an iMac Pro. It's like basically a consumer is supposed to feel good with the consumer version, and a pro is supposed to demand nothing less than professional. Of course, I'm a professional amateur. I take what I can get, and I'm happy about it. And of course, when it comes to being a consumer, I usually want the pro stuff. Because, I mean, my recreational activities are basically professions. It's like some people say an armchair pundit, an armchair athlete. Fuck you, man. I may play Tony Hawk Pro Skater, but I skate. There's no armchair about it. Armchair pundit? Dude, I don't even like politics. But you saw what I said to that Reddit guy. And you know how I feel about society at this point. Where were we? Yeah, I'm not the armchair type. Hence why I like professional grade gear when I can get it. And that Panasonic SVHS deck, it had some dials so you could adjust things like the tracking, the chroma, the luma. Man, you could adjust quite a few things. You know, the tracking is tracking. Most consumers know what tracking is. Tracking pertains to the head, which is what reads the magnetic tape in analog media situations. And tracking pertains to where on the tape, like, you know, the head can move. And somehow that little dial causes it to... I'm not sure if it physically moves or if it actually activates a different part of the head. Because, you know, the actual area, the surface area of the tape, I don't think you gotta read the whole thing. I think you could actually read a bit, like if a tape is that wide, I think you really only need to read like that much of it. Because it's basically like bar, 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 bar. It's like a straight bar of information across the tape. So naturally, you only need a fractional amount of that bar to actually get the data that's required. I think that's how it works with like a head, you know, on a tape situation. And but the tracking, that's when there's these lines that develop at the bottom of the screen and also at the top of the screen. You know, it gets fuzzy. It looks like static on the TV, but only a small line on the top and bottom, sometimes both, sometimes in the middle of the damn picture. And of course you can fix that with the tracking, which adjusts what the head is reading. And also, there's a thing called, hold on, it's coming to me. It's I just had it in my head. It's called a, just had it. It's the thing that it's like a video clarifier. This thing called a, they had them in all the editing days, all the editing suites. Sometimes when I'm doing analog tape imports and putting them on, oh, it's a phase shifter? No, it's called a, fuck. I just had it, you guys. It's alright. It's really not alright. It's very important. It goes along with the tracking. Because if your video looks like shit, your video looks like shit. You can't even call yourself an amateur professional at that point. You're an amateur. been saying it all the time. I say, boy, I could really use a stinking... The thing about this device is it not only clarified the video signal, but in the editing days, and I think they had them in the... they had them in the control room. They also had several video effects built in to this rack-mountable device. God damn, I can't believe I can't remember the name. I just had it. Okay, it's got a dial, 4 dials. One of them is for mosaic effect. That's good. One of them is for the mosaic effect, which is the pixelated effect. You know, when you've got a clear picture and then it kind of like starts with small little it's like anti-aliased versus aliased. You know, it's like if a picture looks anti-aliased all the time, right? And aliased is the blocky pixelated version. Well, the mosaic video effect is exactly the same. It's akin, it's synonymous, and the more you turn the dial clockwise, the more blocky things get. And the blocks, you could eventually turn the entire picture into one color, one block, and that was the level of detail that dial had. Then there was the posterize effect. The posterize effect reminds me a lot of video games. Like, you know, and their limited color palettes. Yes. You could also think of it like a Macintosh computer. You know, the black and white. You ever look at I just love making a visual demonstration when I'm talking about convoluted concepts that might be difficult to wrap your brain around. If a picture is worth 1,000 words, well then my pictures are worth 1,000,000, because I'll make sure you get it. I used to struggle in school. And I think one time I prayed to God when I was like 7 and still trying to be a good Catholic. I think I said, "Oh Jesus God, look over my mom and dad and everybody, my aunts and my uncles and grandmas and but also, can you please help me learn better? Because man, this school thing sucks. The cafeteria food blows. The fucking bullies are all assholes. Not only that, but I can't seem to wrap my head around much of this subject matter. It's like I don't even understand what the teacher's saying half the time because they don't explain things well. Because they aren't articulate. And plus they don't care. They don't get paid enough to care. Right? So I think I prayed to God that somebody could explain things like the way I do for you guys. So this little program is fun. It's called Retro Boy. Perhaps you're familiar. Oh, here, let me do this, if you don't mind. This is fun. I could probably do this for a few hours. This is fun. I don't know why. Alright, that's better. I think I'm just going to leave that chroma key window up because I seem to be using it so much. So that right there is kind of a lot like an old Macintosh, right? And you can see how it's kind of like grainy like that, you know? And it's kind of a limited color palette. Perhaps it's grayscale, which consists of 16 shades of gray. Excuse me? No, there will be no bondage, no sex in this discussion. We're not talking about 50 shades of gray. We're talking about 16, perhaps 32, 256. Nice binary numbers. 50 is not a binary number, per se. I mean, of course, you can make 50 in binary. You know, it would require using the numbers 32 plus the numbers 16 and the number 2. Is that right? 32 plus 16 and 2, that's 50. I think that's right. And so, like, you know, that would be represented by 32 16, and please excuse my middle finger. So that would be 50. And that's about as far into sex and bondage as we'll be getting today. And what else? Oh, I don't know. That's what the posterization effect. Some people say it's a lot like a comic book effect because it ends up making people look like cartoon characters. Like when the color palette is that limited. You know, because we're all, in this day and age, we're all accustomed to millions of psychedelic colors. Crispy, man. 16.7 million? Something like that. That's a nice binary number, too. If if you do the real number part and take it beyond the 7, it's like 16.768, I think, something like that. Yeah. That was the posterize. Also, we had Fade to Black. I think we're all pretty familiar with Fade to Black. It's kind of like when you fall asleep at night, roughly. It's kind of like, you fade to black. Except it's black. It's like that black bar that's behind me. See how there's a black line? I'm about to fade to black. And now we are fading in from black. Ta-da. That's how that effect works. Anything else? Most posterized, mosaic, fade to black, and hue. That's right. The hue or the color was if you want to make a picture look warm, you make it like reddish or orangish. If you want to tone it down and make it cool, then you make it a little bit more blue. And some people, tint is another way of saying the hue. It all just kind of refers to the coloring of the image. It's very important to have that option, especially with regards to professional grade equipment, because hypothetically, if the equipment were to become damaged, and if you can't get it repaired or whatever, whatever the case may be, the color might be a bit off and it might look unnatural. You might end up looking like a Martian, like a little green man. And if that occurs, you kind of need a way to adjust it and compensate for the damaged mechanics, the electronics. And so that's when you really rely on a dye, because normally a picture is fine the way it is. You can leave the hue at the default, right in the middle, or whatever. Yes, no negative numbers, no positive numbers, just 0. Right in the middle is perfectly fine. It's normally a well-tuned piece of equipment, it's fine. But maybe if it gets damaged or something, if something happens, maybe you're processing it through like a man in the middle, like some box, like an effects processor, or maybe a character generator machine. Maybe the signal gets degraded. Maybe there's not enough amplification of the signal that's being sent, and you just need these little dials to correct things sometimes. It's kind of like, do you guys ever use component cables? Component cables. It's like, now that we have the HD equipment, back in this era, all that we really had to work with was like, red, blue, green. And what else? We had the stereo audio, and video signal, of course. But with the HD, you get the red, blue, green not coming through one channel, but each channel of the red, the blue, and the green, they get their own data stream. They get their own highway, input, output. Well, in this case, just output. But the thing about that is if you have your component cables hooked up and one of them gets unplugged, it kind of looks like a damaged piece of equipment, like I was just describing. And it's really weird. It's not natural. It's not right. But hypothetically, if you had like a dial to control the hue and the tint or whatever, you could make it look just fine. You really could. You could compensate. Like if you have like, you know, the green, if it gets damaged or unplugged, well, you add more green to the picture using the hue or the tint or whatever you have available to you. So that was our SVHS deck. A few other side notes. I wish I could remember what that thing was called. It's called a I think it might have processor. Give me 1 second, please. I'm gonna make a fucking cigarette. Take 5, class. You can hang out here, you can take a bathroom break, or you can smoke a cigarette, make a phone call. It's gonna take 5. Please be back on time. And close the door if you're the last student to come in. What the fuck is that box called? I guess we can watch the video. Maybe it'll come back to me. Might jog my memory.
We're walking to Prom Night from Hell.
Oh yeah.
Prom Night. And it's Friday the 13th. We're having prom.
Where am I? Where am I?
Oh no,
Where the hell am I? No, I'm not.
Why am I in this handbasket?
Focus.
You're in the forbidden sheet. You're in the green room with Eagle Lives.
I wonder why they call green.
That's where you are.
I guess the sign's green and the chair is green.
The green room. It's funny the way I said Forbidden Zone, because it sounds like an area, but I was using it to refer to the cast, the group of people, the gang.
Well, that's what happened in prison. Well, yo, that's what happened in prison, man. I got nothing to hide. What you do is get your shit.
Come on, man.
That's true, Charlie.
There's the pedestal adjustment.
Hello.
Ahí, arriba, arriba!
Smile, director.
Chinga tu maga.
Yeah.
Smile. Give me a smile.
Yeah. Thanks a lot.
Nice smile.
One you want on her tape.
Okay.
But
Oh,
that's like
yeah.
for
What's the difference?
let me do that. Sit on. My thoughts is that like,
Pinchy Pudo. Pinchy Gringo.
Hello. Louder.
I don't speak Spanish, I only know Pinchy Poquito. Just a fucking little bit, that's it.
Hello?
Hello. Yes. Who do you think it is? I don't know who you are. So what does it matter? Hello. Hey. Which one?
That's what the telephone sounded like. That buzzing sound, that's a phone call. If you want to use that as your ringtone, that's your prerogative, man. That's pretty old school. Jesus Christ, on a toothpick. Oh, hey, check this out. Check this out. Check this out. Hey, check this out. You'll like this. Okay, do you see the patch bay? The patch bay. Right there? That area right here. Those little holes, that's a patch bay. Have you ever seen like a telephone switchboard? An old-timey switchboard that telephone operators, professional telephone operators working for the phone company, they used to connect people's phone calls using patch cables like that. Because you could take a signal and redirect it elsewhere. Also, a lot of the computer the sounds, the patches that a musician might use in this day and age, right? Well, the digital synthesizers that we use these days, back when they were analog synthesizers, kind of like Moogs, I think I said that right. Like Moog, named after its inventor. I don't think you're supposed to say Moog. It looks like you should, but it's Moog. Anyways, they relied upon patch bays, so you could adjust all kinds of stuff. And that is just a patch bay like any other. You could use it to change, like basically once they have the control room configured, because it all requires configuring initially. But once it's configured, it's done, and it's basically in its default state. Okay, it's like file, save, done. That's the way it is. But if you need to make adjustments, if you've got to change your video signals, you do it with the patch bay. And also, the audio, you'll notice there's one off to the left, a little bit further down the line. And that's the audio patch bay. And the audio signals are the exact same way. In fact, in order to take a phone call, it required a patch cable. Because in its default state, the phone was not used as an input source. It just required one patch cable. And you can probably guess what I'm about to present to you. It's a cable. Spoiler alert. I'm going to show you a cable. Oh, where's all my cables? I guess this will do. You know, I have, oh, wait a minute. Right here. Yeah, whoa! Oh, no! I should have just settled for what I had. Ah! It's good enough, JJ. It's good enough. Come back to us before you kill yourself. All right. All right. I was going to say, you know, a lot of times guitar players and other types of musicians, hell, even singers, have been known to use an effects box like one of these. It's a signal processor. That's all. This one in particular is a distortion pedal. It has a tone, which you can either make the tone brighter or a little bit duller, like tone down. It's basically a little bit more muffly and bassy, because it's kind of like a high-pass filter. Or am I thinking of a low-pass filter? I told you I'm a little dyslexic. Anyways, and the patch cables, of course, just like a guitar cable. Nice 1/4-inch jack, nice 1/4-inch plug, you know. There's your jack, right. You got your 1/4-inch jack, 1/4-inch plug. It's like a guitar cable, except I was trying to find a shorter cable, because patch cables are specific. They are like a foot at the most. And that comes in handy when you're doing things like daisy chaining these little processor boxes together. And it comes in handy when you're using a patch bay. And you'll notice that most of those jacks are pretty close together, are they not? So really, you wouldn't want to have a 15-foot patch cable. No, you want a 1 to 2 foot. But oftentimes, speaker cables get confused for patch cables. It's true. Has it been 5 minutes already? Alright, make it a 15-minute break. No, this isn't going to be on the test. Okay. So, well, maybe a little, but we'll go over it again. Not really. Speaker cables, they transmit a little bit more power, a little bit more signal, a little bit more oomph, you know? Because if you try to use a regular old patch cable on a speaker, there's a very good chance that you're not going to hear anything. I suppose you can use a speaker cable as a patch cable. I can't think of any reason not to. It's kind of a waste because you don't need that extra thicker grade copper, I guess. Probably what it's about. You know, most of these cables, most of these wires, yeah, they got like the bare minimum amount of wire inside of them. You know, like just barely enough to carry a signal. And there's several reasons for that. You know, these wires, these cables, they're basically antennas. It's true. So if you don't have radio frequency shielding, otherwise known as RF shielding, sometimes you'll pick up some noise. Have you ever heard something like your cell phone coming out over the car stereo? Has that ever happened to you? Or any other wireless system for that matter? Usually happens when you're listening to the radio. Yeah, that's your Bluetooth. It goes like, and then it's gone like that. That is a Bluetooth handshake occurring that you're hearing. Pretty amazing, right? It's like you think of this wireless stuff as magic, right? It's not magic. It's literally, you could literally communicate with a computer if you could like boing boing like you could do it with your mouth. It's not magic. It's frequency. The fact I can hear your voice is magic. The fact I have an eardrum, a diaphragm, the fact that you have a voice box, vocal cords, the fact that you are who you are, the fact that you're alive and self-aware, that's the real magic. All this shit, it's just shit. It's nothing. We are merely using tools to accomplish what needs to be done. Some people would say, accomplish great things! I don't think communication is a very big deal. I think it's a basic human right. And when you fuck with my ability to communicate, you make an enemy for life. So if you don't like my ad blocker, fuck off! Seriously. Go fuck yourself. Sit on a big fat dildo and spin like a top if you don't like my fucking ad blockers. The day I can't communicate like that is the day we've lost everything. But yeah, wireless communication, it's no big deal. It's, if you understand it, it's all just frequencies, wavelengths, and, you know, like when you rub things together, you know. For example, I brought up the topic of telepathy earlier, and I don't think I explored that thought fully with you, because I wanted to bring up Darwinism, which is something that we were talking about earlier as well. It has been like, I don't know if it's been proven. I think it's been proven. It's been theorized. Yo, man, check this out. This might blow your mind. We were talking about telepathy, and, you know, like Garfield the cat. It's like, what's Garfield doing? His lips don't move. Is he telepathy? What's this all about? And you know, hypothetically, in the future, if somebody develops such a thing, you could probably have a telepathy hack. I think I saw that in a movie or a TV show or something where they were like, or maybe it was like a prank, I forget, but basically there was an invention to take a baby, because they can't communicate, and basically you could put a thinking cap on a baby to hear their thoughts. I need milk! I'm hungry, I'm thirsty, for God's sake, milk me already! Or maybe like, oh, I'm sitting in crap, change my diaper for God's sake! That was like the basic theory behind this invention in this work that I can't remember the title of. But dig this. I read that grasshoppers, like locusts, not crickets. For some reason, not crickets. But for whatever reason, like grasshoppers and locusts, they have an ability to pick up radio frequency. And they also have an ability to transmit radio frequency using their hind quarter legs, the jumper legs. I know, that sounds far-fetched, right? I guess they were trying to explain why locusts are able to swarm all together all at once and descend like a plague upon like a farm. It's pretty old information. I'm not sure if it was a theory or if it was actually proven. But it was theorized that it's basically telepathy. And it's also been theorized that humans possess that DNA because of evolution. Because we once were locusts and grasshoppers, something like that. Let me see. I want to see if it was. It's so far fetched. I have to wonder if I'm even like close to accurate. I haven't like thought about this. I mean, I think about this every once in a while, but I haven't like looked it up in 20, 30 years, something like that. Oh, sounds like people have been exploring this with further detail. Trying to control the bugs. Hey man, according to God gave man life to dominate the animals or something like that. I don't know. That's one theory. That's basic Christian theory. We were put here to use the animals however we please. You know. So if you have to disrespect them or disgrace them or even slaughter them, hey, do so indiscriminately, because God gave you the right. That's how I've always understood that tenet. Huh. No. I mean it. It has to do with radio frequency. That's weird. There seems to be a lot of software called Locust. I don't know. Laser weapon. Weaponized radio frequencies. Yeah, that sounds great. Let's make everybody crazy. Aren't the G5 towers weaponized enough? I kid. I'm not really a conspiracy theorist, but I play one on TV. Hell, man, it doesn't even have to be a conspiracy. It could actually be a bug in the system. Oh, it turns out that the G5 towers are causing tumors and making people crazy. It's not a conspiracy, we just didn't make it right. We didn't take time to beta test. I don't know. No, I'm not finding anything to corroborate, to correlate, to back up what I'm saying. God damn it. Why is it so hard to find information these days? It's not anything, it's not a big mystery. Really? Am I just crazy? Son of a bitch, man. Oh no, I'm just stupid. Oh. I swear to God, guys. Well, I guess you'll just have to take my word for it. I hate it when I say that, because there's no reason for you to take my word on anything. Other than